What's going on, Dominator? David Dominator here, and this is my last chance to give my final predictions, and I'm going to try to be as fast as possible doing so. Final predictions for the NFL season. Wow. It's going to be coming as fast as possible, and it should be interesting to see. A lot of good rookies this year, and I think this is going to be one of the best rookie classes that we've seen. I mean, I feel like the tight end core of this year's draft was very good. Top three tight ends are on top teams. I mean, you have Michael Mayer on a good Raiders team, Cowboys team, Bills, got a tight end as well. And I'm going to tell you guys teams that I think are going to make the playoffs and teams that aren't going to make playoffs. And if we have time, I'm going to do my overall prediction of what I think the playoffs, or not the playoffs, but what I think the awards, the individual awards at the end of the year. We're going to start with Buffalo. Buffalo looks like a great team. And by the way, I'm going to try to get this all in. And I'm going to, hopefully, if you're a fan of these teams, I hope you like what I have to say about them. And I'm going to be brutally honest. Buffalo, I feel like Buffalo is always touted as one of the best teams in the league. But we always there's something missing. And I don't know if it's just because we've seen Josh Allen, and personally, for me, I feel like Josh Allen is not that great. And I know that a lot of people will be looking at me and saying, like, you don't know what you're talking about. What has Josh Allen really done in the last few years? His first 2 years in the NFL were not the greatest. And I was a big Josh Allen guy until last year. He fails to produce in big games, in my opinion. The only game when I felt like, yes, this team is his, is that game against Kansas City when they lost in overtime. I really think that last year against the Miami Dolphins, he wasn't that great. Does that mean he's a bad quarterback? No, I think he's still up there with the top quarterbacks, but maybe his ceiling is as high as it gets. There's not much to go. There's not much new that he could develop in being a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. I think there is something about this offense that's going to hold them. If that defense can stay healthy, and if the defensive pass rush can help them out, they'll have a lot more help than they would have. But I feel like that defense is just not as great as it was, and that's going to affect them in a division that they have two very offensive juggernauts. Leading into that, the Jets. I think that Aaron Rodgers is going to have some growing pains in the first part of the year. I mean, seeing him in preseason, I feel like he, was getting back into the pace, and I feel like that's rough because he was going against guys that, want to go after him. So I think it's the same situation where they have a good team. Their running back room is amazing. They have receivers. Is he going to utilize them? And is that defense going to let up? And I think the defense will help him. And if he has some defensive help, that is going to help Aaron Rodgers get into the postseason. I think Buffalo is a playoff team still, but I wouldn't be shocked if something happened where they fall flat. I still think they're a playoff team, and the Jets, in my opinion, are also right there. Miami has some question marks. I think if Tua goes back at where he left off, he's going to be great. He's going to be fantastic, and I really do think that Tua could develop into a good guy. He has two good receivers, and he has, there's also injuries, guys, that I'm not going to really mention. But if he can get into his groove, and the Miami Dolphins, especially if they get Jonathan Taylor, who is a possibility because they are pushing to get him, that's going to help them even more and quite possibly could make them be the favorites in the East over the Bills and Jets. But injuries are going to have to be a big question mark. QB is going to be a big question mark because if Tua doesn't produce like he did last year, it's not going to get done. And I do feel like that defense is still good, but I feel like there's just going to be a missing piece, and I think that's because Jalen Ramsey's not there. The New England Patriots are probably going to get a top 5 pick for the first time since probably a top 5er since 2000 or 1993, I think is when I last saw that. New England's in a tough spot. They have way too many good players. Yeah, they went out and got Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't think that does much. I think this is also a make or break year from Mac Jones, which I hope it's not. I really think Mac Jones could be a good player. I mean, the only other, what are the Are they going to pick a quarterback? Will they go in the Kyler Murray sweepstakes? I don't think they should. But I feel like this poor guy, Mac Jones, has been, his first year he took over the helm. Everyone is like, oh, he's a dog. And then last year he was basically getting pushed out by his own fan base wanting Bale and Zappe. So and even the commentators are like, well, Zappe's better. It's like, okay, well, that doesn't help his case. New England is going to have a rough year. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to have a great year, I think, this year. Not just saying that as a Steelers fan. I think there's going to be a lot of things positive. The whole defense, almost in the entire defense, is revamped. They got depth players for their front guys. They have a good middle linebacker core. They have a good 3 good corners, in my opinion. And then they have Minkah Fitzpatrick as well in the backfield. And the offense looks great. The offense has weapons. Also a lot of depth. If Matt Canada can get it together, this team's going to be one of the top places in the North. I think they are a possible wild card / I think they could win this division easily. They have one of the easier schedules, and they really can get away. If they can get away with winning the even games or the more competitive games, if they can win more of those, they'll win this division. Cleveland Browns, I think all of these teams are going to make playoff pushes, and some of these teams are going to get pushed out, and it's going to be rough. I think one of those teams are the Browns. I think with the Browns, they're going to get bullied a little more because the Ravens, Bengals, and Steelers. I do think the Steelers' defense is the best in this division. It just is. I think Cleveland has struggles. They have weapons. I just feel like they're going to fall short in games. And I feel like they're one of those teams that are going to be super competitive this year, but they're going to just never get the opportunities to get those last-minute wins. I feel like teams are going to take advantage of that and win by 1 point. Baltimore, they look good offensively, but I feel like their defense has so many question marks. And the problem I have with Baltimore mainly is now, yes, Zay Flowers looks good. And this is because I have a very good friend who's a Ravens fan in her family, and I talked to them today. Yeah, you have Zay Flowers. Go get him. Yeah, you got OBJ. Injury prone. Oh, and you have an injury-prone quarterback that you just paid $1 million to. That's a lot of money. When was there a time where Lamar was ever clear to continue? I have no idea. I don't remember the last time Lamar played every single game. I could tell you the last time that he beat Big Ben. Oh, wait, he never did. He never did in his career. For somebody who plays the division rival twice, how do you not beat Big Ben? The real question is, how have you only won 5 games, I think even less than 5 games against the Steelers in your career as a starter? That's concerning. You play them twice a year, and you've been in the league since 2018. You started since 2019. So, I think, yeah. So, that's a problem. If he can stay healthy, the Ravens are going to be a great team. But if they don't stay healthy, that's going to be the biggest problem and issue for them. And no offense, Ravens fans, but Lamar doesn't stay healthy, and if he doesn't stay healthy this year, you guys aren't going to go anywhere. The Bengals, same thing as last year. I feel like it's the same exact team. Expect them to struggle week 1 against the Browns because of how much they have to do. Remember the last time that he went against a good defense? Week 1? I mean, the Steelers are always good week 1. I don't know about the Browns. I mean, the Browns just won their first game in many years last year. But, the Browns really can take advantage of Joe Burrow not playing a game. Because the Steelers did it last year. They need to jump on it and get on it this year. Because they could win that week 1 game, and that's going to be important in this division. Bengals are probably going to be in the same situation as they were the year previous. Like I said about this division, they're all able to make the playoffs. Jacksonville, I could put all these people in the same spot. Jacksonville's going to be in a very good position. They have a great team, and I think that they're going to be exactly where they are. They're going to win the division, in my opinion. Now, I'm going to label all of these teams together. The Colts, Tennessee, and Houston all similar teams. They're not going to go far. Two of them have rookie quarterbacks. I feel like Tennessee has a better chance of making a wild card spot, but I feel like they're just going to get cut short. The other two have learning quarterbacks that are going to take time. And I think, like I said, with Houston, they could probably have a top 5 pick again next year. But the problem is it's Arizona's now. And Houston and the Colts are just going to be in a bad spot without Jonathan Taylor as well. So I think they're going to be one of the bottom teams in the league. All the teams, in my opinion, in the West, except for the Broncos. Broncos never changed anything, man. This conference is so jacked up, it's not even funny. The Chargers are going to continue to go for a playoff spot and try to get their first playoff win in a long time. Chiefs are the Chiefs. They're in their own division. And the Raiders, I feel like, are going to be a playoff team this year because of, I just feel like they have to make that next jump. And there's just no reason, in my opinion, why people think Broncos win. What has gone right for the Broncos? Broncos have lost almost their entire receiving core. They brought in Sean Payton. So what? Like, that doesn't change anything, in my opinion. Yeah, maybe when, you should have called a timeout in that Seattle game. Let me guess, like, while the clock was running down the whole time, you lost almost a whole minute. I think they lost, like, a 2-minute drill. You're supposed to go quick. They did the opposite of a 2-minute drill. They did that successfully. I think that might be where Sean Payton's brains come in. But come on now. I don't think Broncos get too far. I feel like their defense is not that great anymore. I think that they have holes in both offense and defense. And I think over the Raiders, I just think the Raiders have a better roster. Now, the question, I think, if Sean Payton was on the Raiders, it wouldn't make a difference either. I feel like hopefully McDaniels makes that jump, because honestly, if McDaniels doesn't make that jump this year, his third year is probably going to be his hot seat year, where if the Raiders don't win a playoff game, if they don't make the playoffs, he's going to be fired. I think that's when they say and shoot the gun. Going on in the NFC East, we're going to try to make this as fast as possible because I really want to tell you guys my predictions, but I don't think it's going to happen. Arizona is going to be the worst team in the East, the West, the North, the South, the whole entire league. They're going to be ass. Seattle and the 49ers are going to be playoff teams. And now this is probably the biggest question in the division. Brock Purdy being the starter. I wonder how that happens with the 49ers, because I do think the 49ers have question marks. What's going to happen to Bosa? Because if Bosa doesn't sign a contract by next week, depending on when I post this video, which will probably be Monday or Sunday, if they don't get him signed, that's a big problem. Because you're going to give him an entire week, and hopefully they get negotiations going, but you're going to give them an entire week of hopefully negotiations, and then hopefully he has a week to get ready. That's a dangerous situation, because even if he comes back, I don't think he plays to his high level. Who knows? He's Nick Bosa. He might still play well, but I feel like you're going to have a little bit of rust, because I don't think he's practiced as well. I don't think he's practiced. I haven't heard much about him, except that he has a contract negotiations going on. That's a question. Does Brock Purdy get a little nervous because of his elbow injury? I mean, he has to go against big pass rushers in this year, starting off with two great pass rushers in Pittsburgh. That's a situation I would be scared of if I just got elbow surgery, knowing that TJ loves to go after quarterbacks' arms, because that's what they're trained to do. When they go back, you're trained to slap that shit and get the ball out as any way as possible. So 49ers have question marks, but they should stay in the playoffs and still win the division. The most questionable team to win this, or the most questionable team, is the Rams. What do the Rams do? If the Rams lose, right, what happens? If we're going to the trade deadline, you have Matthew Stafford, you have Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp. That's just 3 of your guys and top guys. Do you think about moving them to start getting in draft consideration to then push into your team? Is Sam Bennett going to be the guy? Because if he is, let's get it rolling. Like, let's start getting this guy help. And that's just going to be the biggest question mark, because say a team has has an injury at quarterback, do they make that move to get Matthew Stafford? Do they make the move if they need a defensive guy like Aaron Donald, or if they need somebody like Cooper Kupp? I mean, you're gonna get picks. You have to get picks. Those three guys are top players. I mean, I think you can get a lot for Matthew Stafford still. I think you could sure as hell get a lot for Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald. Like, there's no question. I know Aaron Donald is starting to get, like, fade out and starting to consider retirement and all this other stuff, but I do think he's still worth more than – I think he's worth first-round picks, in my opinion. I mean, if you're going to try to win a Super Bowl. Now, on with the NFC North, I think the Saints win this division. I think it's no doubt. I think Saints win this division. The guys I would say who are second right there are the Falcons. I think the Falcons help either shockingly win this division, or the Falcons could make a playoff spot, because I feel like they have a good roster. They have a young second-year QB with a good back room, good receiver, good tight end. As long as you keep the mix going, I think they have a decent offense. And then when you really look at their defense, they did a lot to revamp their defense this year. They got some pass rushers. They got some corners. They got some safeties. I think this team could make a run. Tampa and Carolina are going to be the two interesting people. I mean, Panthers, they are built for success now. That's why they went out and got all these offensive weapons. I feel like they tried to get this team to still be a playoff caliber team. They might, but I still think Bryce Young will have a lot to learn. And just based off of that first week, I do think that that's going to be a rough one for them. I think they start off with the Falcons too, and I think the Falcons will their pass rush will probably freak them out. You got Calais Campbell, Bud Dupree, right? Those are the two guys I remember them getting, so that's going to be interesting. Green Bay have a lot of interesting things about them. Green Bay, they have too many question marks, but I still think they're a decent team. Their defense is what probably scares me the most. This division is going to be interesting, knowing that the Bears offense, the Vikings are still a good team, and the Lions are a good team. I do think that I think their offense doesn't struggle too much, knowing that Aaron's not there. I still think that they have problems because the defense is not that great. But we'll see. I think a lot of their rookies need to shine bright. Oh, please. No, don't talk. And then, hopefully my friend doesn't talk so you guys can't hear him. But, I think Packers are going to have some problems. Lions look good. I think the Lions are a good team. I think that the Lions have a good defense. Will be their biggest question mark. But the Lions are going to be a team to think about. Chicago is also a great team to consider being a good team. The defense is probably going to be their biggest weakness. I think that Justin Fields takes a big leap this year. I really do. And I think the Bears could be possibly battling for a playoff spot come December, early January. Minnesota probably makes the playoffs. I do think they have a downward year compared to last year. I don't think they win as many games. I just think maybe they just they don't win think about it. They won a lot of those games off of kicks. I think it happens if they lose. I think that is the reason why they'll lose a few more. Eagles, good team. They'll probably win this division, and they'll be all right. Cowboys aren't the best option. I think it could be a possibility that we see a Cowboys QB change. Giants look decent as well. Their defense is probably the question, I would say. But with their offense, I don't know. Actually, they might be solid. I feel like they're still a mediocre team. But like a lot of these teams I've mentioned, like that could be battling for a playoff spot. I feel like that's the case. They're not great in that division. And then Washington, I think, could make moves. I mean, they're not awful. They're not great. But I do think they could, with the defensive help, they could be okay. I feel like I don't really want to tell you guys my stuff. Comeback player of the year, probably going to be DeMar Hamlin. Rookie of the year, offensively, could be any one of these receivers. I feel like Quentin Johnson might win this, just because the other receivers are kind of in a weird loop. When you look at defensive player of the year, look at corner like Joey Porter Jr. and maybe the Devin Witherspoon, probably the top two corners. Don't be shocked about Will Anderson being one of the winner, or Jalen Carter. I feel like the thing is with Jalen Carter is that it's like when you're with a lot of other players battling for sacks, I feel like that's going to be his downfall of winning it, because if other guys get there before him, stat-wise, he's not going to be better. But if that could also help him too. But I feel like Will Anderson, if he dominates, I feel like you have to give it to him, because he's a solo guy on that defense. Like I said, offensively, probably Quentin Johnson. Bijan Robinson's probably the only guy that would win it running back wise. Offensive player is probably going to be Christian McCaffrey or a top receiver, like maybe Cooper Kupp, or I don't know who really would be a great. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know a good receiver besides maybe Justin Jefferson that might win it again, or a great running back like I said, CMC, but I wouldn't be shocked if somebody else decided to win it. Defensive player, I think if Nick Bosa comes back before week 3, he has a good opportunity. But I mean, like Micah Parsons, TJ Watt, Aaron Donald, those guys are always up in the consideration. Sauce Gardner, those guys are in the consideration. And then when you guys look, and quarterbacks basically win MVP, even though I think they need their own award. Quarterback's probably going to be a guy like, I would like to see a guy like Justin Fields. Or, not Justin Fields, my apologies, Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts deserves it. But that's neither here or there. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know your guys' prediction. What do you think? I'm spot on with some of my picks? Do you think I'm wrong? I hope you're not upset with me if I said that your team's not going to be great. Please, I love feedback. Let me know what you think. I would love to communicate. That's what I want to do with this brand and this channel. It's to be there, to have fun, and to talk sports. So let me know what you guys think. I hope we have a great season. Follow college football, by the way, if you don't, because it's a great opportunity to see a lot of guys that you might not see every day. And it's good to know who's going to get drafted and why they're going to get drafted. And if you think he's going to be a real bust or not. Because I always think that declaring people bust early are very weird. And sometimes you can't always base them off the college level, because college is sure as hell not the NFL. So let me know what you guys think. Like this video if you liked it. Comment down below. Follow me on everything. Make sure you dominate the world dominators. David Dominator is out. Peace.